As problems mount here in California, once again, Governor Gavin Newsom flies off overseas for a foreign junket to rub elbows with anti-American foreign leaders. But who's paying for those trips? Coming up, we've got the receipts, what it's costing taxpayers, and how special interests are in on the scam. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state representative. And yes, Gavin Newsom flying off overseas yet again while problems mount back here in California. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have enough on his plate here. I mean, we got the highest cost of living of any state in the nation, the worst job market. People are fleeing the state. We have a homelessness crisis. And he's getting on an airplane and going and lecturing the world on how they can do better at government. Be more like California, he's claiming. Just the arrogance and stupidity is just mind-boggling. But the question is arising, who's paying for all these trips? How much does it cost taxpayers for him to fly overseas? We've actually got the receipts. It's not only the cost to taxpayers, but dark money groups, special interests are lining the pockets of the governor to help facilitate his expensive foreign junkets. We're going to get into the receipts in just a moment. We also have a clip of him smearing our law enforcement, men and women in the law enforcement here in America while overseas. Just absolutely despicable. In fact, in Germany, he called law enforcement a bunch of Nazis. Yeah. He made the comparisons to Nazi Gestapo SS stormtroopers. But look, you do know that Gavin Newsom is a liar and he's a great threat to this country. You know that because you're a Californian. You've had to suffer under his bad governance. But the rest of America, they don't know that. That's why at Reform California, we are on a mission to build a dirt file against Gavin Newsom to expose his character flaws, his corruption, and of course, his overall failings here in California, expose those all to the American people so that he can never step foot in the White House. I urge you to join the fight. Go to our website, reformcalifornia.org, reformcalifornia.org, click under campaigns and go down to the campaign, Expose Gavin Newsom. We have a standing campaign effort focused exclusively on taking this SOB down. He needs to be punished. And we also need to protect America from his incompetence and corruption. Check out that campaign while you're on the site. Sign up at the bottom of the website so you're going to be informed as to what's happening in our campaigns up and down the state of California. When we go to your area, hold rallies, you'll be invited to participate. You'll get our voter guide, our plain English voter guide with plain English description of what's on your ballot for all the ballot measures. We tell you where the hidden tax increases are. And of course, we endorse candidates on every part of your ballot, including judges and school board candidates. But if you don't sign up, you won't get the voter guide. So check it out, reformcalifornia.org, bottom of the website. Put in your first name, last name, email, phone, and zip code, and you'll be tethered into the growing movement to take back our state from insanity. Also, please consider chipping in a contribution at that site. We can only do the work that we're doing. We can only fight these battles with your financial support. So let's get into it. While in Germany, Gavin Newsom smears American law enforcement officers by comparing them to Nazis. Here is an actual clip. And again, he has willing to smear them on foreign soil. Listen in.
I want to remember all those images of masked men, the secret police, something familiar in Germany. Those first images.
By the way, masked men. At first, I thought he was talking about all the members of Antifa because, they all run around. All the protesters, all the hoodlums, the thugs, they run around in masks. If the violent protesters have a First Amendment right to wear a mask in public, well, then our law enforcement men and women should be able to protect themselves from doxing and targeting their families. But no, Gavin Newsom wants to somehow cast aspersions on them, make it appear as though they're doing something wrong, when in fact they're doing everything right. They are trying to protect us. They're doing their damn job, Gavin Newsom, and you and your Democrat lackeys have created such a tense environment by calling them Nazis that their lives are at risk. You are putting their lives and their family members at risk of physical danger through your heated rhetoric.
Those first images came out of my state, the second largest city in the United States of America. We saw 4,000 National Guard federalized. First time. We'd never seen anything like this. And 700
National Guard had to be federalized because you created a cauldron of tension with your inflammatory rhetoric. You egged people on and you funded these protests using state taxpayer money through your left-wing NGOs. Let's talk about the truth, dude. You're like the devil complaining about sin. I can't believe that things got out of control as you literally are stirring the pot, taking the kerosene and pouring it on the open flame.
And 700 active duty Marines sent not overseas, but to the second largest city in the United States of America, militarizing the streets of my city. Masked men showing up, unaccountable, no IDs.
He says something familiar. He said masked men, secret police, something familiar in Germany. So there used to be, and not only is a liar about smearing our law enforcement, but there used to be this rule that when you were overseas, we leave domestic politics at the border's edge. We can disagree here in America, but it's disgraceful to have an elected American politician go fly over to a foreign country on foreign soil among foreign leaders and badmouth the men and women of law enforcement. But this guy has no shame. He literally is untethered. His morals are zilch. Thankfully, Donald Trump calls him out. Not for the comments about law enforcement, but Newsom, on top of making these disparaging remarks, signed a deal with the United Kingdom on climate, a climate commitment. Here's the coverage in the UK energy publication that Politico has, the Europe publication. Newsom signs California UK Clean Energy Pact. The deal includes greater collaboration on offshore wind farms, which, by the way, let me just tell you, the California wind farm project, billions of dollars over budget, billions of dollars of subsidies by taxpayers are being required, and the energy is not affordable. The public utility companies won't even buy the energy because they say, hey, our ratepayers shouldn't be price gouged this way. And so what did Newsom do? He said, oh, we'll buy the energy and then force you to buy it from us. That's what they did. And of course, the liberal media in California, they don't connect the dots. They don't follow the money. So when people's rates go up on their electricity bills, they're like, oh my goodness, it must be the cost of electricity. No, it's the cost of expensive windmill activity off our shore, all forced fed into your bill by Governor Gavin Newsom. So I guess that's more of the nonsense that he wants. The Green New Deal has failed California, but he's out there signing deals with other countries saying, oh, it's such a great idea. It's wonderful. We wrecked our economy. You've wrecked yours. Let's just continue to do it. If you continue to wreck yours, we'll continue to wreck ours. That's the deal, fair and square. That's what these deals are all about. I don't want my politicians choosing where I get my energy from. They blank it up real quick. But Trump obviously calling out Newsom inappropriate for a state leaders. Quote, the UK's got enough trouble without getting involved with Gavin Newsom. That's true. Gavin's a loser. Everything he's touched turns to garbage. Very true. His state has gone to hell, and his environment work is a disaster. Truth, truth, truth. The question is raised, though. Who is paying for Newsom's trips? Well, a special interest group, a nonprofit set up by the governor. Here's this story, and it says Newsom is crisscrossing the globe this year. But the bills for many of those flights, hotel rooms, and diplomatic receptions are not always paid by the state. Instead, a private nonprofit closely tied to the governor's office has been picking up the costs without what would otherwise come out of taxpayer funds. Now, this is actually not true. The part about there's a nonprofit that takes money from dark money groups tied to the governor's office to pay for his travel, that's true. But the idea that these trips are not costing taxpayers any money, that's actually provably false. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. Let me talk first about Newsom's direct costs, the cost for his flight, his hotel room, and his meals. It's paid for by a group called the California State Protocol Foundation. This is according to a study by the LA Times. Board members are completely controlled by Newsom. And they basically write checks to cover the governor's individual expenses. More on that in a minute as to why state taxpayers cover a bunch of other expenses. I'll talk about it in just a minute. We just need to figure out who's paying the bills for his hotel room and his airplane ticket. They raised $1.27 million in 2024. That's the last year that we have a tax return for this Protocol Foundation. The governor's staff basically runs it. They paid $13,000 for a trip to Italy for him in 2024 to visit the Vatican, $4,000 for a trip to Mexico City for their inauguration, $15,000 for a trip to China, $8,800 for a trip to Miami. All told, $72,000 from this foundation. Well, they have a lot of overhead. Where's that other $1.27 million going if $73,000 is going to Newsom? Well, Newsom has a lot of political consultants who are, that's right, running this so-called nonprofit. And who's writing the checks? Well, you got the Hewlett Foundation, $300,000. You also have University of California, Berkeley gave $220,000. Wait, how is that not state money? If you have a state college or university giving money, is that not state money? Why, yes, it is. Protocol Foundation takes money from corporate donors, including $80,000 from Zooks, $5 million for other groups that raised funds for Newsom's inauguration parties. All of this web of funding from groups, individuals that are either state government or have business before the state of California. But it gets worse. When Newsom travels, he travels with staff and a security detail. His security detail is quite large. They actually rent cars for the governor. They travel with him, a whole gaggle of dozens of people. You know who pays for that? That's right, you, the taxpayer. So when people say, oh, no, he's taking private money to go on these junkets. No, that's not true. The private money is for his own airfare. And again, that's troubling because these groups have business before the state. And some of these groups are government agencies like University of California, Berkeley. And then on top of that, state taxpayers foot hundreds of thousands of dollars of unnecessary expenses because, look, the dude doesn't need to travel to Munich, doesn't need to hang out with a bunch of the foreign leaders. Oh, and his buddy, Alex Soros, George Soros' son. This is in Munich. Look at that bear hug. That's right. And of course, my good friend Kevin Dalton nails it. Alex Soros checking in on his investments in Munich. I mean, hanging out with billionaires and foreign leaders, trashing America, all on special interest funds for himself, as well as taxpayer funds for his security detail and staff. That's why I blasted him. Here's the California Post a headline. Gavin Newsom blasted for bailing on California to mingle with European elites. Better off with him gone. Actually, no, I think he should stay home and do his damn job. Here it says, Republican Assembly member Carl DeMaio, one of the governor's fiercest critics, who earned a shout out in Newsom's low energy State of the State speech last month, also panned the Munich trip. Quote, California is a complete mess with high cost of living, budget crisis, the worst job market, and a homelessness epidemic. But instead of fixing the problems he created back home, Gavin Newsom is running around the world to suck up foreign leaders. Newsom should stay home and clean up the mess he's created. I'm not going to get any Christmas invitations this year from the Newsoms, nor will any of my bills be signed or even passed by the legislature for that matter. And that's fine. Speaking the truth sometimes comes with consequence. The guy is just atrociously bad as a governor, and he'd be an even worse president. And we've got to build that dirt file to expose him. So go to the website, reformcalifornia.org, share our campaign page, expose Gavin Newsom, chip in a contribution, and sign up at the bottom. Until next time, I'm Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California and a California State Representative. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state.